Okay. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Oulton Park International Circuit, virtually, of course, for the 150 Motorsport Ginetta Supercup Sprint Challenge, using these wonderful virtual Ginetta Supercup cars. Beautiful things to drive, as I can personally attest to, having driven with these wonderful ladies and gentlemen on other occasions. But tonight I've decided I will sit back and enjoy the action with you all. You currently join us midway through qualifying, and as you can see, no one has set a lap quite yet, but we are looking forward to some great action tonight with a bit of a different format to the one you might have seen from 150 Motorsport in the past. Tonight we've got a short 15-minute qualifying session for you to get out of the way, and then two 15-minute sprint races, with the second containing a reverse grid, known in the motorsport world for causing all kinds of chaos. Currently watching Thomas Harper on the first lap of the qualifying session, the first one out of the box. In Aidan Moffat's old livery, I believe that is, the Laser Tools Racing, Rob Boston Racing car from 2017. Oulton Park International layout is what awaits us this evening. A challenging and technical woodland circuit. As we know in the UK, you get two types of track. You get the woods and you get the airfields. This is the former. Means a lot of elevation change, a lot of blind corners, and a lot of challenges for our drivers to get stuck into this evening. And there we are, first times on the board. I do expect those times to drop in the next 10 minutes or so, but good to see everyone getting out there early in qualifying. So, we take a look at the track for this evening, and as Seiki goes a little bit offline there, I'd say that's not the optimal qualifying lap there. I'm 90% certain damage is on, so that is probably going to hamper their efforts for the next few laps unless they reset to pit lane. Cameraman struggling to keep up with the drama already, and we're only in qualifying, which bodes well for the rest of this evening. Fortunately, in order to keep us a little bit on track, I will be joined later by my good friend Ewan Bagot to help us try and make sense of, I'm sure, the large amount of carnage that always seems to invite itself in to these 150 Motorsport sim racing events, which is what we all watch them for. Now, the track. As they come out of dear lead currently, Thomas Potter, and across the line. That is the ending of the track. Starting the lap now, heading towards Old Hall. My favourite corner of the track, turn 1, is a late apex entry, which always catches people out. There's a lot of early turn-ins. You'll see a lot of people hitting them bollards on the inside of the corner, going through the grass a bit as well. Slight bit of curb and runoff on the exit though, so you can get away with pushing a little bit too hard if necessary. Then as you fall down the hill over into Cascades, down towards the Foster's cutting, which thankfully we are not using. That circuit is scary to say the least. All the way down towards Island Bend, not using the touring car loop and the hairpin, all the way down to Shell Oils. We are using both chicanes at Falstons and Knickerbrook, and then back up Clay Hill towards Druids and Lodge Corner. That's familiarised you with the corner names. We'll see them all towards the racing here. Qualifying, we're just kind of flicking through all the different cars as they come across the line. Good to see Seiki there, starting a lap, so evidently not too perturbed by that last corner spin on the out lap. More off-roading already. I expect to see a lot of that tonight. Eight cars already setting a lap. I believe there are a couple more in the server. All of this is kind of a bit of a waiting game until we get to 5 minutes to go. So welcome along to everyone for this evening's racing. More lap times coming through now. It's starting to get a bit closer now. This is what I was hoping for. Once we start to get down to 5 minutes to go, we can really start looking at that timing tower and really know who's going to be looking to sit where. Right now, everyone's still just, well, finding the grass, mainly, seems to be the objective at the moment. Probably less of that. You see Callum Paris coming up to the line. Definitely not going to be contending for the pole on this lap, but a lap time has now gone on the board, first one for them, so that's good. 11 cars set a lap so far. 4th place man Sam Hayes going onto the back straight. Down into the Knickerbrook chicane. Hefty chunk of inside curve. Avoiding the bollards on the left. Wait for that right-hander to appear. There it is. Not even getting close to track limits. There's a car in the wall on the outside there. There's a Ben Green livery. Not sure who that is just at the moment, but it'll become more evident in the racing where everyone's in position. Qualifying, touch hard to follow from here at the moment. Lovely onboard from Sam Hayes through Druids. On the brakes into Lodge Corner. Be careful of the bump. Actually braking after the bump, which is very impressive. Slightly wide on the grass. That was a very good last minute save from Sam. As he comes across the line and heads back to pits. Very common strategy on all sim racing games. The quick reset to pits, use a low fuel run. Don't have to go all the way around. Helicopter cam. Showing us a slight miss of the apex there from Charlie, but nothing too major. Nicely out of Lodge. Lesko in front. Just going on to starter lap. Not much of a toe there, it was a bit too far back, and also, like most British tracks actually, a toe not really going to be massively helpful around here. There's a couple of drivers looking a little bit racy already. There's a very big Laser Tools logo in the rearview mirror for Callum Paris currently. He's defending into turn 1. We're getting racing already. That's a big old lock-up and a huge slide. As we now find ourselves coming down into Shell Oils with Charlie. Big inside lock-up. Turned it a bit early on the grass. That's going to get sideways. This means the cars behind are going to have to check up too. Plenty of carnage already in this qualifying section, and haven't even got to the racing yet. So bodes well though, because as we hit the 4.5 minute to go mark, the top 5 are separated by less than a second, with a couple of others only just outside. So realistically, a good tight battle at the top for poles so far. Plenty more laps to come in. Sparky in the old Carl Bordley liveried Ginetta wide, and that's going to spin round. Oh, and spinning in sympathy. There was Seiki. You know, it's always nice when someone does that. You just feel like you're not alone out there struggling. Thomas Potter having no such issues currently, as we're still getting a bit racy back here. Oh, that's one way of trying to get down Cascades. That's onto the Foster's loop that I mentioned earlier. That's the shortest version of Oulton Park. Will give you a faster lap time, but I'm not sure the stewards are going to be so happy if you use that. Back on board with Sam Hayes. Gave us that lovely view of Sector 3 earlier. He is currently a 10th up as we come through that's the first split. Never entirely sure where they've put the sector markers on these Assetto Corsa mods, but big flash of the lights there from Sam. Clearly knows and has a delta somewhere on their virtual dashboard to say they are up, because that was a very forceful flash of the lights. Finally gets past Ben Green livery machine. Onto the brakes into Lodge. Turns in quite early. Gets it on the curb. Nicely round. No issues with running wide this time. 42.2 is the time to beat. No such luck for Sam, it appears. few more drivers popping up now to set lap times, which is always nice to see. Large amount of people out on track as would be expected with just over a minute to go. We're now going to be seeing the start of everyone's final lap. Not enough time to get another one in unless you use the Foster's route, but I'm not sure if anyone's figured that out. I hope not, because the game might not like that. But here we are, on to people's final qualifying laps. Final qualifying lap here for our current provisional pole sitter with a 42.1 going to the top, Thomas Potter. It's a very spectacular lap. Margin at the top is ridiculously close so far. Very glad I'm not racing tonight. I'd be somewhere near the back. I do not have the talent of the drivers you are seeing on screen right now. Fantastic to see everyone coming out and driving tonight. "20 seconds to go." Lovely sound these Ginettas make on the downshift, firing flames out of the twin exhaust at the centre at the back. Feel very privileged to have seen them so many times growing up in person. Watched a lot of these liveries in person, these drivers go up through the ranks and see where they end up. Right, checkered flag. We are now on to the business end of qualifying. Final laps are coming through. We already have people in the pit lane. They will not improve. So we look to that top 5 separated by 6/10 of a second. As people start coming over the line. Thomas Harper up to P2, just behind Potter there, less than a tenth separating them two. Sparky towards the line, not going to be right at the front, but does improve up to P8 for them. Dave Tudor unable to take pole, but again another improvement over the line. Everyone's starting to bunch together. Still a few more to come over the line and return to pits. Here's Sam Hayes. 6/10 down on the provisional pole at the moment. Final lap over the line. Pole! Pole for Sam Hayes on the final lap. Snatching it at the last minute, but by a hefty margin, dropping 3/10 on Thomas Potter, who was already in pit lane, done and dusted. Talk about leaving it late there from Sam, but what an incredible lap time, a 1:41.796. I don't think anyone's going to beat that. No one's got near it so far. And there we go. That is your qualifying session over. 15 minutes in the books. There you have it. Sam Hayes on pole, a 1:41.796. Thomas Potter will share the front row, a 1:42.101. Followed by Thomas Harper, Ryan Turner, Ash Curtis, Dave Tudor, SimRacer 420, Sparky, Gabsy, and Aidan Ingram rounding out your top 10. That is your grid for race 1. As I mentioned earlier, race 2 will be a reverse grid, so those hanging round at the back, do not fear. There is a second opportunity. But realistically, looking at those times from quali, you know, top 6 separated by what, 0.74? So those are going to be the main contenders in this one. But yeah, a hefty margin Sam Hayes dropped at the end there. Very impressive. And yeah, very exciting too. So we will now see what comes of this race. Some onboard shots of these beautiful Ginetta Supercup cars. A 30-second countdown till the lights go green. Excessive revving in the engine from a couple of these drivers. Could possibly be construed as a as a scare tactic, but lights are now coming on. There we are. Lighting gantry lights up red. And they go out. It's a good start from most of the cars in the foreground. Pole sitter getting away well as we head into Old Hall for the first time. Everyone keeping it on the track in the top 10 except in the background we have a couple of cars off. That was the Carl Boardley livery car that's gone off, as we see a pit lane start for Sim Racer 420 as well. So a few incidents already on lap 1. Sam Hayes has managed to use that pole position to keep the lead so far. There's another car off. There's two cars off at the camera's not really playing nice here, but two cars off as well. So that's, I think, 4 total on the opening lap, but not so many at the front. Second place, man, that's a big slide for Thomas Potter. Gets really sideways going through, coming out the chicane, going over Hilltop, and now that has allowed Curtis to get right on the back of him. So we now have a Type 3 car trained for second place. This will allow Sam Hayes to escape a little bit. Oh, that's another car off in front of Tom Wolfe. He didn't even blink, didn't even lift. And the camera predicted that. That was curse of the camera. I would like to say I had nothing to do with that. Come towards the end of lap 1, and Sam Hayes has benefited from mistakes behind to inherit a 1 second lead as we go over the timing line for the first time. Dave Tutor's dropped off the back of that P2 train, so guessing a little bit of a mistake there through Druids, it looked like. That was the point on the lap at which he started to drop back. The 3 in front still very much together. Thomas Potter slightly pulling away as the 2 behind go side by side into Island Bend. That's always brave. Ryan Turner looking to make up the place. Dave Tudor's spun it through Island Bend. That's a heavy impact into the Alco on the inside. He rejoins in P7. So that's 3 places lost, unfortunately. There's another car off in the behind him, coming out of Shell Oils. We ride on board through Folsons. A little bit of a tow over the top of the hill. Ryan Turner's getting sideways, still sitting in P4, attempting to make that move on Curtis, but alas, failing so far. This is allowing Thomas Potter to reel in Sam Hayes for the race lead. So we're developing 2 battles now. The battle for the lead, a battle for third place. Turner goes for the inside. And we got another car off at... Where is that? That is going to be at Knickerbrook. So that's another casualty early on. Good save as they come up to Druids though on the grass. Thomas Potter with the fastest lap of the race. Brings that margin down by around half a second that lap. That's an impressive lap from Thomas. Tyre wear isn't really going to be a problem in this race, so it is going to be basically quali laps for the following 15 minutes. Ryan Turner not being able to make that move yet. Seiki's going for a wild ride coming out of Lodge Corner. That was an emphatic spin. There's another car off the road there. Quick pit stop there to repair the damage. The lead margin has come down to half a second. As we see Seihi on the outlap, still struggling a little bit there, probably with cold tyres. The lead gap is now 1/10 of a second, It's marginal, it's fluctuating, and it looks like Potter might have had an issue there. It dropped right down and now it's extended back up again. It continues to extend past a second. Ryan Turner's had an issue. He's dropped 3 seconds off the back. Where he was, he's had another off there at Druids. Pushing a little bit too hard, I feel. Frustration mounting by being stuck in P4. You can see where he was. That's a lot of time lost. Here we go. This is the battle we want to see. P1 and P2 nose to tail again. And there's another car off at Druids and nearly rejoining into already progressing battle for P10. Obviously having a little excursion there. So now we ride on board with our race leader, coming over the top of the hill, down towards Knickerbrook chicane. Oh, that's a bit of a moment for both of them, although the slide from Sam Hayes seemed to hamper him, whereas the slide from Thomas Potter didn't. That helicopter shot shows just how close to the back of our leader Thomas Potter is now. Looking for a move into Druids, not going to make it work. Late on the brakes from Sam Hayes. Mid-corner speed was impressive, but the exit is better from our race leader. The toe's not going to be enough to help now. Heavy defence from Sam, but he knows that he's better on the brakes, as proved by the last couple of corners that we've seen. And realistically, at this point in the race, it's now just going to be about settling in to a rhythm, because this gap, although it looks incredibly tight, from driving these myself, this is one of the most frustrating positions, because Sam knows as long as he hits his marks at every corner, Thomas really isn't close enough. But that isn't hitting your marks. That is wide from Sam. He's got a decent enough exit, but those are the kind of mistakes that Potter is trying to force on our race leader at the moment. But Sam Hayes just needs to keep eyes front and keep hitting the marks, but that's a front lock up from the both of them, front right. Easy to do there as the track kind of dips away into the cambered shell oils hairpin. Up to the chicane, careful on the curbs, or not. Evidently they've got that sussed out. Sam Hayes heavy over the left hand curb to carry the momentum through the right hander. Gap still maintaining at about, you know, a couple of tenths, but that's a lunge from Potter around the outside. Not quite, wasn't quite close enough. You could hear the engine noise from both cars there, which is always a scary feeling. Inside, look at the rear view mirrors. They are filled with green and purple. Ginetta, that was a late move. Callum Paris, meanwhile, having a little bit of a moment coming out of Cascades. Our race leaders have switched position. Is that going to be permanent? We will wait and see. It does look like it, but it looks like Sam Hayes has had an off, because he is plummeting down our timing tower. Wait and see where he rejoins, but it looks like our leaders might have come together as we were watching Paris recover from that spin. Yep, Sam Hayes all the way down to 6th. That is a hefty off. Two-minute lap time. That's 20 seconds almost of time lost for our race leader. That is a shame for that lead battle to end in such a way. Oh, P5 is now off the road. That's one back for Sam Hayes. Rob going for a little bit of an excursion again. Cascade seeming to be the nemesis of quite a few drivers outside the top 5. Top 4 really. So what that does mean, obviously Thomas Potter promoted to our race lead. Ryan Turner, having been in the battle for a podium position earlier, making that mistake and seeming out of it, is now back on the podium. There you have your race leader all on his own with a 6-second lead. Actually coming up to some lap traffic by the looks of it. A few ways in front. Adam Ingram seemingly with a little bit of a problem there. Coming to a stop on the back straight or crawling around the back straight? Yep, that's unfortunately not what we like to see. 2 laps down already and attempting to rejoin, not going well. Thomas Potter, having been released from Sam Hayes, has now set another fastest lap of the race. I think we all could have predicted that with the speed he showed to catch our previous race leader. Still a couple of little battles going down the field, but most of them now separated by a second or more. Seiki having some more issues coming out of Cascades. And accelerating on the grass in these cars does demonstrate the power and lack of traction control that they do possess, but unfortunately is not going to help you in this race. Good to see them back on the track now, and away we go again. Dave Tutor now promoted to 4th. Obviously was in a much more prosperous position earlier until that mistake. 3.5 minutes of this race to go, and it looks like our top 3 is pretty set in stone. Only 2 seconds separating Dave and Sam. Had a decent few cars in this train for 7th. 3 cars there, and a back marker separating, or involved anyway. So 2 battles there to keep an eye on. Battle for P4 and P7. Another fastest lap for Thomas Potter. Not a surprise there, as looks like another coming together. That looked like it was Thomas Harper and possibly Seiki, one of our back markers there, coming together. It's unfortunately been a pretty sharp fall down the timing tower for that number 16 car this race, which is a shame. Which wasn't Aidan Moffat's livery anyway, it was Jack Mitchell. But this is one of our back markers who is actually giving us, you know, a fairly good view of some of the cars around P7 and 8 in front, 9th behind, I believe. Yeah, so that is the 7th, 8th and 9th split by that back marker. Good to see him get going again though, because having stopped on the back straight I was a bit concerned for Ingram. But away again, good to see them carrying on. And obviously that reverse grid for race 2, there's plenty of opportunities there. Oh, that's our P2 car coming to a stop. Now that is surprising. All fully came to a stop and in the pits. Now could that be that they ran out of fuel? There is always a risk of that on a certain course, so you have to be quite careful with how you manage your fuel and set it up to start with. So I wouldn't be entirely surprised if that weren't a fuel issue. Be interesting to see as they come back out of the pits now. Yeah, I reckon that was fuel. I reckon they had to reset to pits, get some more fuel, and then come back out. They're coming out with a force from pit lane. 9th position. Again, with the reverse grid, it's always worth just getting back stuck in there, waiting for the opportunities to come out in race 2. But that can't be pleasant, dropping from P2 all the way out. And now a spin as they came out the pits. Again, unfortunate. That promotes Ryan Turner now up to P2. Dave is now in 3rd, with Sam in 4th. That gap's kind of stabilised at a second. P10 car off the road. Plenty of incidents to keep the cameras busy. As our clock ticks down to 0-0, we'll have 1 lap to go as the leader crosses the line. Bob has now been released from the back marker to chase down that battle for P7. Another fast lap from Thomas Potter, faster than anyone went in quali, a 40.9, low fuel, helping them to the max, and just constant fast lap. Sam Hayes is off the road at Lodge Corner, struggling to get it back on as well. Recovering now. Don't believe they're losing position out of that, but obviously they were chasing that final podium place. There's another couple of cars off the road. That is our final podium place. So despite the mistake personally and ending up off the road at Lodge, Sam Hayes has inherited a podium as Dave Tudor is off the road at T1. Old Hall claims another victim. Very nice and safe rejoin though. We commend that immensely. That is the most frustrating thing that can happen to you in sim racing, but you have to just wait and see. Dave rejoining of P7. Again, not what they will have hoped after going yo-yoing up and down our timing tower all race. Now they're going to have to rely on the reverse grid for a little bit of support. Ryan Turner gently going around the final lap as we join our race leader coming out of Lodge Corner. Not quite going into Lodge Corner. For the final time. Over the crest. Still pushing hard by the looks of it. Through Deer Leap. Cutting right to the inside. Clearly wants another fastest lap. Crosses the line to win race 1 of the night. Thomas Potter, congratulations, with a healthy 15-second lead over our second place man, Ryan Turner, who crosses the line now to take P2. A flash of the headlights there to redeem a podium. Back marker coming through, and Sam Hayes completes our podium positions. And that is race 1 complete for tonight.